to the Diamond Niner Gals podcast. This is episode 7 of the 2024 season. I am Nick. We've got producer Brad making it all go.
Hey.
And joining us this week is assistant pitching coach CJ Leighton. What's up, Coach?
How are you guys?
Man, we're great. Well, I am. I won't speak for Brad. I'm in good shape. How are you, producer Brad?
I'm doing good. Enjoying the day.
All right. So, boys, new first question for every episode from now on, okay? I need y'all to take a deep breath and take your time before you answer this. But before we get rolling, are each of you feeling in preference today?
I don't know enough to know if I am or not.
I don't think you have to know that much, Brad. I think it's just kind of like a state of being. You either are or you are not in preference. That's the way I feel about it.
I'm going to say I'm out of preference.
You're out of preference.
Yeah.
Always in preference, Nick. Always in preference.
Now, see that, producer Brad, that's how we do it right there. Coach CJ is always in preference. That's awesome.
I ever since Katie got here, we've been talking about it a bunch, and I was telling you guys earlier that Ashley, Robert, and I go to Orange Theory every morning, and there's at least 5 or 10 minutes on the treadmill I'm thinking about if I'm in preference while I'm running or not. So
I will admit, Brad, I don't really know what it means either, but I've been thinking about it. So it's at least part of my thought pattern is about whether or not I'm in preference. So, all right, Coach, we appreciate you making some time for us today. This is the first time that we've had a chance to bring you on here. We've spent a lot of time talking to you at various times, but this is the first time we've been able to do it here on the show. So what we want to do is kind of let everybody get to know you a little bit, and then we'll kind of move into your role with the Niners, and ultimately we're going to talk some softball from this week's action and kind of give you a little preview of the week coming up. But why don't we start with you, Coach, and just talk about exactly how you got, because I noticed we do have something in common. We're both finance majors. You've got a master's in finance. I don't, but I do have a bachelor's in finance. So how does one get from finance into college softball?
Oh, long road. So I grew up, I don't know if you guys know this, I grew up in Colorado, long ways away from where we're at now, but grew up playing baseball. I grew up with an older sister who played softball, and I was just always around the ballpark with her. And, I played baseball all the way up until I graduated high school, and managed the softball team for my high school. Softball was in the fall in Colorado and baseball was in the spring. So it gave me an opportunity to do both. And, once I got done with high school, I just wanted to go to school. And my mom actually moved out to Lexington, Kentucky, my senior year of high school. And my sister played Division I softball at Morehead State. It's about an hour east of Lexington. Mm-hmm. And so I just ended up at Kentucky just to go to school and, kind of found my way into softball. From there, reached out to the coaching staff a couple weeks into school my freshman year, and 5 years later, it was great. I got to spend a lot of really quality time and a lot of good moments with the Kentucky softball team, and went to a bunch of super regionals and played in a lot of really cool places, and just got some really, really cool experience and some high level coaching and teaching from the staff there, and I'm still really close with all of them. But did that for 5 years, got my undergrad in finance. I actually started out as a journalism major, believe it or not, and did that for about a semester, and just wasn't my speed. So then I switched into economics and didn't like that either. So then I switched to accounting and got all the way through accounting till my junior year. And then my advisor was like, well, you could just take a couple extra finance classes and you'll get a degree in both. And so I did that. And then I ultimately only ended up graduating with a finance degree. And so I wanted to stick around for another year with the softball team at Kentucky, and just got a master's degree in finance, 1 year master's degree. And then actually worked a finance job in Lexington after I graduated for about 6 to 8 weeks, and couldn't do sitting behind a desk any longer, and just ended up here, Ashley and I talked probably about the end of July of 22, and made it all happen. I talked to her on a Friday, molded over the weekend, and by Wednesday I was hired. And this is year 2 now, and it's been awesome. So that's the path really. I owe a lot to my sister for being the softball influence in the family, and she's actually a pitching coach now as well. She's the pitching coach for Incarnate Word, which is in San Antonio.
So more truth telling here. So I actually set out, I was going to double major in accounting and finance as well. And that lasted, I don't remember if that was a semester or 2. I started taking some of the accounting prereqs, and I said, I can't, I don't, this is too tedious. I don't want to do this. So I hit the eject button on accounting, and did do finance. I kind of wished I had done economics. I really didn't go very far with that, but I kind of wished I had done economics.
Yeah, just what econ was not for me.
Yeah, I it would be me now. I mean, I teach a lot of, I teach history, but I do a lot of political, economic, and military history. So I kind of gravitate towards those kind of things. So it'd probably be more my speed now, but maybe not so at the time. But now, so and I'm kind of taking personal license here. So you did work a finance job for a brief time. What did that entail?
So I worked for this small little place in Lexington. It was called American Trust. And I was a client representative specialist, just a basic like desk job, answering emails, working on spreadsheets. It was a bad 6 weeks. So glad I ended up here.
Yeah, I worked for Merrill Lynch and then Bank of America out of college with my finance degree. And the desk, the thing, no. And there's what you think you're signing up for when you pick a major. And then there's like what you
there's reality. Yeah.
Yeah. There's reality. Yeah. And I was like, no,
not my speed.
Yeah. Not great. So, all right. So, once you're kind of looking to make the transition into coaching, and you do hear from Coach Chastain, like at that point in time, like what do you know about Charlotte, North Carolina, UNC Charlotte 49ers? What's your knowledge base at that point?
So you guys will like this story. So we were talking about how much of a RPI nerd I am. So I was looking at the RPI when I was still at Kentucky. And it came out the first week that it came out, so early March, my grad year at Kentucky. And I'm looking at the RPI and I'm going down the schedule and I see, your typical like 1 through 8 teams, LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, so on and so on. And I'm going down the list and I see a team at number 9 and I'm like, who's Charlotte? Some Conference USA team, like who's Charlotte? And I vividly remember having that thought. I was like, who's Charlotte? Like, why are they so high? How did the calculation screw up? Why are they 9th in RPI? Like, what did they do? Right. So that's a funny moment to look back on now that I'm here, but outside of that, not a whole lot. Actually, I've been, my family and I go to the beach every year out in Carolina Beach, was about 30 minutes southeast of Wilmington. My mom actually just bought a house out there last year. So we've been going there. This summer will be our 8th year. So that was my only frame of reference, just basically driving through it and flying in and out of the airport at the time. But this place is awesome. I couldn't say enough great things about living in Charlotte at the university. It's been great. So,
I think definitely this season, there's probably some people out there right now looking at the ratings and looking at RPI, and they're not getting very far down the list. We'll talk about this later, but they're not getting very far down the list before they go who is Charlotte? What is going on with that? But I think the work that you guys are doing, it's becoming more of a regular thing. So hopefully there'll be less people that are wondering.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in progress. So you have made a transition this year. You started off in the volunteer assistant role, and now you're assistant pitching coach. So how did and obviously we know that Ashley is a pitching coach herself and former pitcher and all in on the pitching metrics and the mechanics side of things. How did this conversation go down when she approached you and said, "Hey, CJ, have you thought about working with pitchers?"
Yeah, long story, and I'll try to make it short. But so last summer, Ashley and I had a conversation at our house for, probably 2.5, 3 hours, kind of just deciding on what direction I wanted to go. I'd spent last season kind of one foot in both areas of the game. I was, helping Taylor at the time with hitting and, working with Ashley in game, with pitch calling, pitch charting, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of had a foot in both, and I was coaching first base. I was just doing a lot of things, and you really have two options. You can either go pitching or not pitching. There's really, those are your two options. And so we sat down and had a long conversation about it. And she's like, just give it some thought and, think about it, see what you want to do. There's no wrong decision. You just kind of have to pick, right? You just have to decide which route you want to go. And, had some conversations with my sister, who was obviously the pitching coach at Incarnate Word at the time, and had some conversations with some other people that, were college pitching coaches. And I just kind of came to the decision that, kind of like an accountant or, a lawyer, like you're always going to need one, right? So you're always going to need a pitching coach, So I just went with pitching, and it's been awesome. Ashley's been a great teacher, great role model, great, companion in the bullpen. And I'm super lucky to sit by her every day, whether we're out during practice or, right next to her in game making decisions. It's been a lot of fun. And our group of 7 pitchers are a treat. I love them. They're the best group of pitchers I could ask for. And they're hard workers. They love each other. They care about each other. They're always supporting each other. And it's been a great decision for me. And Ashley's also given me a lot of responsibility this year, which has been awesome. So really happy with the decision.
So do I have this correct here, that the opposite of pitching is not pitching?
Not pitching. There are two facets of the game: pitching and not pitching.
I feel like if we asked Ashley, Robert Woodard, and Michael O, if that sounded right, I think they'd all agree. There's
pitching and there's not pitching.
Not hitting, not fielding.
Not hitting. Nope.
It's pitching and not pitching. Okay.
Yep.
I'll try to incorporate that. We'll try to keep that in mind. So I don't want to ask an oversimplified question, although I'm pretty good at it. So you take this role on, like walk me through, okay, so like day one, like how do you start learning how to be a pitching coach? How does that even begin?
Yeah, well, I felt the same way walking into it. There's a lot of things you got to learn, right? There's a lot of things that you think that you don't know. And, we had the opportunity to work with OGX back in August. They're a pitching specific group. They came out and kind of evaluated our pitchers, did assessments on all of them, and that was really like the first kind of base knowledge that I had gotten just from a mechanics side. And I spent 5 years catching bullpens at Kentucky. And so I knew enough to, dip my feet into it. But OGX was a big deal for me back in August, just kind of learning the intricacies and the nuances of everything. And Ashley and I actually, a couple of weeks before they came, went to Pitch Stock, which is something that OGX runs as well. And just a lot of good information. And yeah, you just feel honestly, you feel way in over your head when you first get into it. But once you kind of get into the rhythm of things and bullpens every day, and you just learn things. And, those first couple of weeks, I just felt like I knew nothing. Ashley and I had a bunch of conversations, and she would tell me things and I'd be like, that's not what I thought that was. But yeah, she's been great. She's a teacher at heart. Obviously, you know that. So
yeah.
So she's been great at explaining things to me and giving me her insight on everything. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I find processes like that interesting, just because I guess it's something so different than almost anything else, really. I mean, there's the technical, mechanical aspect of it that someone you can kind of teach someone. I kind of fall back on comparing it to golf because, as you know, CJ, I try really hard to play that game, and I'm not good at it. But there's understanding how to do something, and then there's the mental aspect of it, of preparing yourself to do it and convincing yourself to do it. Yep. So sometimes, even though you have an intellectual, like an academic understanding, I know exactly what should happen right now. Doesn't mean you can always go and do it, or just convince yourself that you have the confidence to do it. So, right. I would imagine that you're learning to work with pitchers, not only from a mechanical standpoint, but also from this might be too fancy of a word, but almost from a psychological standpoint as well, right?
100%. Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it than just the mechanical, side of things, like you said. But working with pitchers every day is a treat in and of itself. So, like I said, they're fantastic, but they're a fun group.
Yeah, I've always thought that, and it, we should get some mic'd up mound visits, just to see what are they talking about out there.
I'm not sure anybody needs that.
It might not always be approved YouTube content, but it could be entertaining, just to find out what's going on out there. We always sit in the stands and speculate whether it's softball or baseball. What are they talking about out there? So yeah, maybe there's a future where that happens. So
we'll start miking them up in practice for you, and you can see if it's enough for us to do it in game.
Yeah, it could be entertaining. It could definitely be entertaining. We have definitely had some pitching coaches on the baseball side in the past. I think Woody would be entertaining, but we've definitely had some pitching coaches in the past, and I'm like, man, I'd love to hear what he just said. So let's step back a second here. We talked on last week's show because it was fresh about the win over Kentucky. Yeah. But I think you being here merits a bit of a rehash. Maybe not the game itself, but just the experience for you. This is your alma mater. This is a place this is where you got your start. And there you are facing them, and you come away with the W in your new home. Just share with us a little bit about that day, that experience, and the whole thing.
Gosh, yeah. It was emotional for sure. I'll give you a little kind of backstory. So I don't know if you know this, but my girlfriend is the athletic trainer for the softball team. And so it was a weekend that we were looking forward to begin with. And she was always, over the last months, was always like, I'm not that excited to play you because one of us is going to be upset when this is over, right? Like either you're going to be mad or I'm going to be mad. So that aside, it was such an experience for me, honestly. Playing the team that, I spent 5 years with, and coaching against some of the girls and the coaches that, basically grew me up and taught me a lot of what I know now. And I'm still really close with everybody on the staff, and really close with some of the girls that are still playing there that, were on the team when I was there. And so just seeing them play before we played them, even just seeing them play on our field and not being a part of that was weird for me for sure. And I kind of handled it well for what I thought was well up until the game started. And I was like, man, this is just weird. Like, Coach Himes, Christine Himes, who coaches third base, just seeing her, right across the dugout from me and walking over to first base and walking past, everybody I spent 24 hours a day with for 5 years was just, it was weird. It was weird for sure. And, thankfully we pulled it off in the end, but it was a great game. It was a super fun time. And, Ari came through for us and it was awesome. But you'll enjoy this story. So the game got over and went through the handshake line and they were walking out of the dugout, going to the bus. And I went over to talk to Bree is her name. And
that's probably
like, hey. Yeah, I was like, hey, good game. Gave her a hug. And she wanted pizza from Hungry Howie's, which she grew up with, but they don't have it in Kentucky. So she wanted Hungry Howie's, and we had talked about it before the game. And so I walked over there and I was like, do you still want pizza? Do you still want me to come to the hotel? Like, are we still friends? And she was like, yeah, you're just going to have to give me a few minutes, like, to get back to the hotel and everything. And I, hung around the field for a few minutes and went and grabbed pizza. And I texted her and I said, hey, I need you to go down to the lobby of the hotel and make sure that nobody's there, because I don't want to see anybody on my way up, because it would be not a fun conversation. So, but no, they're great. They're great. They, just needed some time to get over a tough loss for sure.
Okay. So I did, this is new information to me. I did not know that. So how long have you guys been together?
About 2 years.
Okay. So we've got some longevity there, and now you're doing the long distance thing, and you've survived that.
So far. Yeah. Survived it.
Survived the long distance and the short distance.
Yeah. The short distance was tougher than the long distance.
Yeah. From one dugout to the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this begs the question: was there any side wager on this game? I mean, we
no,
have any?
The NCAA says no, so I say no.
Not even who was buying Hungry Howie's?
Always me, win or lose.
You know what? That would be the most NCAA thing ever. Is y'all make a side bet on who buys Hungry Howie's afterwards, and then like. What they would do, here's what would happen. It would be investigated. You would be found completely at fault, and the NCAA would lower the boom on Charlotte softball while Kentucky goes free. That's what would happen.
Yeah, no wagering.
Well, I did. Friendly side. I guess that's wagering. I don't know. Just over the pizza. That's all I'm saying. NCAA is over the pizza. So. That's cool. So y'all were able to eat some pizza and kind of smooth that over.
Yeah, it took a couple days for it to really smooth over, but
all right. Well, I mean, God forbid y'all run into each other in the NCAA tournament.
No kidding. No kidding. We had that panic a little bit last year. I was like, they could send us to the same regional. Like they could. We're close enough that they could send us to whoever, Virginia Tech, Duke, something like that. So hopefully not. Hopefully we can go our separate ways and meet each other in Oklahoma City.
Well, that sounds like a plan. Our guy Kevin says that you listen to this show to find out the stuff that's not in the box score. So that none of that is in the box score. So
none of that's showing up in the box score.
None of that is showing up in the box score. So that's a cool story. I'm glad we got to hear that. So let's talk a little bit of Charlotte softball. You want to?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think it worked out well with the schedule. I have a feeling this was done intentionally, but you guys didn't have a midweek heading into the start of conference play. And I love the AAC. They're just paying us, doing us all kinds of favors. Our very first conference series, hey, just go to South Florida. Which I know that you probably know this now. I didn't. If you would have asked me before the game notes, I would have said, yeah, our record against South Florida is not good. I didn't realize how bad it was. But what was it? 1-31 all time?
It was one and a lot of losses.
Yeah, and none in Tampa. The one win we had was at a neutral site in a conference tournament. So the Charlotte softball had never beaten South Florida in Tampa or in Charlotte. I think it was 1-31. So you guys get sent right down to South Florida right off the bat. And I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, you guys faced some adversity on Friday, but the way you bounced back on Saturday was fantastic.
Yeah, Friday was tough for sure. Long game, really emotional, a lot of pitches, a lot of at-bats. I think by the time I counted that night, I think I have the box score here with me. We faced, I mean, the lineups were full of subs, and some people had 5-6 at-bats by the end of the night, and it was a marathon, honestly. But, responded really well on Saturday. We got back to the hotel late and, talked a little bit, and then got up the next morning and, met for scout and talked about the game plan, but then also talked about just how we kind of had to respond as a team, and they executed it really well. Just you have to work together. You have to do it. You have to do it as a unit, and excuse me, you have to do it with good intentions. And they just came out on Saturday with a fire lit underneath them, and it was awesome. It was a great day.
So let me ask you this, and I'll let you I'll let you answer it as delicately as you'd like to. Obviously, these are Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, as we're accustomed to. You played a doubleheader on Saturday because of the threat of rain on Sunday. Did you get any rain on Sunday?
Well, we were in Clearwater the whole day, so I can't speak to the weather in Tampa, but there was some projected rain on Saturday or on Sunday, and moved the game to a doubleheader on Saturday. So we did it. We played 2 and got out of there with 2 wins and went home.
That is cool, though. We could talk about a little bit about that in a second, if you'd like. That Sunday, that schedule change did give you and the staff and the gals some downtime on Sunday because your flight didn't come back until later, so you did get some downtime. But I think what we saw, tight game you drop on Sunday, but there's a little theme that emerged on Friday that kind of stuck around for the weekend, and that was Kaya Garrett. Kaya Garrett hit a 3-run homer on Friday, and she had so much fun doing that. She just kept going all weekend. Big weekend for Kaya, and that started on Friday.
Yeah, she was incredible all weekend. She hit the home run on Friday to give us the lead early, and then came back on Saturday. And aside from the home run, had a couple other really good at-bats, really key RBIs and big situations, and played a good outfield all weekend. And I don't know if you know this, but going into the weekend, South Florida only had 5 home runs as a team. They play all their games at home. So they only had 5 home runs. They hit 1 against us, getting their total to 6. So we hit 2, and both of them were Kaya. So we had a third of their home runs at their field. It's an interesting park. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but it's 190 down the lines, and then it kind of is like, it's probably about 210 between the poles and left center. And then it's probably about 225 in the gaps, and then dead center's 235, 240. So,
and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you answer it so it'll be correct. Compare that to the dimensions at the Sioux.
So the lines at the Sioux are 200. Mm-hmm. And then the gaps are 210-ish, and then dead center is probably about 220. But right field, where the bleachers are, is a little bit flatter, and so right center is probably not nearly as far as left center is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just not a very hitter-friendly ballpark for sure.
Yeah, so they're shorter down the lines, but deeper in center.
Way deeper.
Yeah. So when you, I have been there. I've been there in to open up the baseball season in 21. We played a tournament opening weekend down there. It was South Florida, Louisville, UConn, and us. And so, and we talked a little bit about this on last week's show. If you've been to the baseball stadium, by default, you've been to the softball stadium because they share a concourse.
Yep.
Down the left field line at softball, the right field in baseball, and the concession stands are
same concession stands.
Yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting idea. I mean, somebody had a you know, to be able to share infrastructure and things like that works.
Right.
I don't think South Florida baseball was at home this weekend.
They were.
Oh, they were.
They played North Carolina A&T.
Okay, so they were at home. For some reason, I was thinking on the road. I should have known that. So when we were there, softball was not playing at home. So what's the dynamic like when you've got games going on both fields? Because it seems like to me, as I recall, there was maybe some netting up to try to prevent this, but a foul ball from baseball could easily wind up on the field.
Yeah, so we did get a foul ball once on the field in the middle of the game. They actually have a whistle that they blow at baseball to try and let softball know that there's a foul ball coming.
Oh, wow.
So it's interesting for sure. It only happened once, but once is a lot more than that happens in Charlotte.
I'm surprised that would, you know, that would that only happened once. If it was going to happen at the Sioux, it would have happened last year, but Cam Fisher got drafted.
No kidding.
Because Cam crossed the road from the baseball stadium out over Phillips Road on multiple occasions. But yeah, that would be quite a haul to hit one onto the field at the Sioux. So that's interesting. And they blow a whistle. Like, wow. Is there anywhere in the country you could think to compare that to? I've never been to another baseball stadium that had a softball field doing to it, or a softball.
Not that close. Certainly not that close. But yeah, it's interesting for sure.
I mean, it's incredibly efficient. I get it.
For sure.
And the basketball arena is right across the street from both of them, and they use the same parking. So you got this massive parking lot. So, you know, as far as that goes, it's convenient. But we blow a whistle. Baseball blows a whistle. To
everybody ducks and covers.
Yeah, because you have no idea. I mean, you know, at least in a baseball game, or a baseball game or a softball game, when the ball comes off the bat, if you're there and you're paying attention, you have some idea that's headed to me. That's not, but that's that's almost like an air raid warning.
Yep, it literally is an air raid warning.
Everybody is. It's like when producer Brad and I were in elementary school and we did the drills where, you know, you got duck and cover under your desk.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, air raid warning. That's funny. That's what they should call it.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize they had a whistle.
Yep.
Okay. So wow. I'm gonna have to think about that some more. When you guys moved on to Saturday, you're playing this doubleheader. And in game one, Kaya hits another home run. She was 2 for 3, but you got production kind of up and down the lineup. Knight drives in a couple runs. Winnie drives in a run. Olivia Williams has been really coming on lately as a freshman. Had a great game. You got pitching from Brooke Bowling and Gigi Barefoot to combine to hold them to 1 run.
Yep.
It was really, you tell me what you think, but this was like one of the more complete games, from first to last that you guys have played this year.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, Liv had a great weekend, was big in both those games on Saturday. And Brooke was fantastic she pitched 2 2/3. She was great. She came out there and it did exactly what we needed. And when it was time for Gigi to come in, she came in and closed the door on bases loaded, 2 outs with a strikeout, which was awesome. It was, super high energy. So yeah, Brooke and Gigi were great. Kaya was great. It was just, we played really good defense. It did really feel like a complete team win for sure.
Now, you guys, I guess you had probably, 45, 50 minutes in between games there.
Yeah, just about.
Just enough time to cool off a little bit, maybe grab a snack.
Yep, Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Chick-fil-A sandwiches, that's awesome. And then game 2 on Saturday, you guys didn't give South Florida a chance.
Nope, from the first inning.
You guys just jumped on them and just never looked back. That ends up being a run rule 5-inning, 12-1 win. Obviously, when you're having when you score 12 runs, a lot of people contributed. Garrett was in the middle of that again with 3. Mrs. Hoffler drove in 3. Livy Williams was in that one with 2. Rhodey and Blackwell chipped in. And then obviously the pitching has to cooperate on that as well. And Gress was involved in that. So was Leah Powell. That's about as good a Saturday as you can have, CJ.
Yep, 17 runs on offense and 2 earned runs on the pitching staff. So not much more you can ask for there. And Leah was great coming in, closing that game out on the back end of the doubleheader. And really big offensive day from everybody. And it was just, again, it was a really complete team win. We give the dugout card out. I'm sure you know this after the games. And those 2 games were tough ones to decide because just so many people deserved it. And it was when they're tough decisions, it means, everybody contributed to the win.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Who did end up with it?
Ashley might have to correct me if I'm wrong. Liv got, I believe Olivia got the first one. And then Leah got the second one.
Okay. Speaking of honors, just came out. It's Monday afternoon. We record this. So probably about an hour and a half ago, I guess, news broke that Kaya Garrett, with her weekend, made the honor roll for the conference. Well deserved.
Well deserved.
There are certain weeks, I think, that she probably could have been player of the week.
For sure.
But that went to a player at FAU that had kind of an insane.
Yeah, we were watching the game. She hit 3 home runs. Excuse me. She hit 3 home runs in their game against Wichita yesterday. So tip of the cap, deserved. Yeah.
And that was, I think that game was in Wichita. Yes,
it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So that not only is she doing that, which is big anyway, but I mean, Wichita's picked to win the league and they went up there and did that. So yeah, I get it. They're
just got to tip your cap.
Well, hey, I mean, there have been, trust me, we've discussed it on this show. There have been some weekly and even season long awards that we go, what? But I get it. She earned that.
For sure.
When you're doing that kind of work, you earn that. But still, takes nothing away from the weekend that Kara had.
No, Kaya was awesome.
Yeah, she was fantastic. So now we did talk a bit about this a little bit before the show, but you guys, you alluded to it earlier. You guys had Sunday off now because I don't think your flight was scheduled until late afternoon, early evening on Sunday. And with the doubleheader on Saturday, you guys had free day in Florida. So how'd that go down?
It was great. We got on the bus probably about 10 o'clock, left the hotel, drove about an hour to Clearwater, and took the girls to the beach and let them walk around and shop and do whatever they wanted for about 3 hours. And Ashley, Katie, Jody, and I just walked around the beach a little bit, got some lunch, got some really good seafood. I'm a big seafood guy, so got some good seafood and just walked around and enjoyed the day, enjoyed the sunshine and no rain, and got back on the bus and flew home about 5:45.
Now, what's your go-to seafood dish? What are you likely to order when you walk into a seafood restaurant?
So I got crab legs the other day, but I love scallops.
Okay,
so that's probably the go-to.
Okay, I've had plenty of crab legs. I don't think I've ever had scallops.
Got to try them out.
Maybe I need to broaden. I don't know. I'm pretty. I don't know. I guess I'm pretty bland. Like my go-to is like fried shrimp. I just love. I do. Fried shrimp and cocktail sauce. I just love that. And
there's a place for that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you go down to North Coast, North Carolina, talking about going down to Carolina Beach, you go down that way, you go to Calabash.
Yep.
You go to Calabash and get Calabash shrimp. And I guess that's kind of what I grew up on. So I'm really partial to that. And I honestly, I get into ruts. It's like when I go in there, I have to have I don't know. I need to broaden my.
You like what you like.
Yeah. But I probably like other things too. I need to broaden it.
The next time you have the opportunity, get you some scallops.
You know what? Duly noted. I'll take that under advisement and put that on the list of things. So maybe I'll find a place to do that. Let's talk about the week ahead because it's kind of a contrast in the week as far as that goes. Well, I tell you what. Let's reset things here first before we do that. You guys, after this week, are sitting at 12-9. Okay, 12-9 is a record, but your strength of schedule right now is 1. I mean, that's one toughest schedule in the country. Yep. And I mean, realistically, there's going to be some change in that. I mean, it's going to change every game you play, but to have that kind of strength of schedule after your non-conference weekends, still got the midweeks, but your non-conference weekends are over, is a phenomenal testament to the scheduling that you guys have done and then what the gals have done with it to be 12-9.
Yeah. Ashley preaches just strength of schedule, playing hard teams when we can. We're lucky the area that we're in that we have so many options for midweeks. But we also schedule tough, preseason tournaments as well. Boston, Kentucky, South Carolina, Florida State twice, Texas Tech, who's, high in RPI as well. So, it was a gauntlet, and we had to remind the girls, a couple of weeks ago, hey, we've played the best schedule in the country. We played the best schedule in the country, and we're still, doing really well. And they just need some of that perspective sometimes when they feel a little, here or there, that they just have to be reminded that they've played the best schedule in the country. So,
yeah, you're taking the advanced courses here, so it's when it's not all A's, it's okay. You're taking the hard courses.
Yep.
That's good for an RPI of 17, which is really good. And we were talking a little bit. You're an RPI guru. You love paying attention to this stuff. And I know the Niners have some quad 1 wins and some wins that we think might be quad 1 wins before the year is over. So it's really shaping up nicely. What's left now is obviously to take care of business in conference play and put together a great conference record. But the AAC, for those wondering, right now, as far as RPI goes, the AAC is rated 5th in the country, which I think that starts to, in that when you start talking about being 5th, the 5th rated conference, you start talking about multi-bid league.
For sure.
Yeah. So we're as the coach speak goes, all of our goals are still in front of us.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Well, in the conference, moving into the American, we brought 5 or 6 teams with us from Conference USA. But the floor has really elevated from where it was last year. Speaking just from, a conference RPI standpoint, we have 3, 4, 5 teams that are in the top 75 in RPI. So it helps a lot. That was not the case last year. All of our quad 1 and quad 2 games were non-conference essentially. And having 18 conference games effectively be in those top 3, maybe top 2 quadrants, it's a big deal for us and it's a big deal for the conference, not just being a single bid league. So it's awesome. It helps us out. It helps everybody else out. And it makes the conference stronger for sure.
Add to that name recognition we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Like, well, who is that? Well, you start to build that brand recognition year over year, not only with teams like Charlotte, but the league as a whole. Let's talk a little bit about Wednesday. You guys are playing a familiar opponent in Virginia Tech. They're currently rated 15th. They're 15th in the polls, but they are 5 in the RPI. So that strength of schedule is not going down on Wednesday. They swept Louisville on the road this weekend before they come into the Hayes. They are, ironically enough, and I didn't look into how this happened, they are 18-3-1. I'm not sure how they got the 1, but anyway, I honestly didn't know you could. I thought you played until you got until it ended.
So they
18-3-1.
They played a game in Auburn earlier this year, and the game went into extra innings, and they got through the top of the 8th and went into the bottom of the 8th, but it started raining. So because the game was tied after the last complete inning, it's a tie. So
had they scored a run in the top?
Yeah, they had scored like 3 or 4 runs in the top of the half. So they would have won if the game was completed, you would think,
in the SEC, in the heart of SEC country, it just started raining.
The sky opened up.
You're an SEC guy. How do y'all control that stuff?
You don't. You don't.
So tell us, it's a 5:00 game at Sioux. Tell us what we can expect out of a matchup with Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one for sure. We went to their place last year and won, and they came here 2 years ago before I got here, and it was the biggest win in program history. And I hopefully don't expect anything to change this time around either. They're a really good team. It'll be a tough game for sure, but I think we're in a really good place right now, pitching, offensively, defensively. I think we're trending up for sure, and so it'll be a good game. And like you said, good for the RPI. It's a great midweek, great ACC midweek, and I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
And Pete, yeah. So weather forecast for Wednesday is sunny and 71.
Beautiful.
If you don't make it to the Sioux, I hope you've got something really important going on.
Yep.
It is officially right field bleacher season.
Absolutely. They better be full.
Now, I will tell you this, for anybody out there watching that's thinking, you're right, I need to get to the Hayes. That time of day, if you're going to sit in the right field bleachers, make sure you bring your sunglasses. It's sunny out there until the sun starts to get low, and until the trees and Wachovia or Wells Fargo Fieldhouse kind of block the sun. You'll make sure you bring your sunglasses if you're going to sit out there in right field. But
we call it the sunny Sioux. So
yeah, that's where I hope to be, is out there in the right field bleachers, and I will have sunglasses in tow. Moving on into the weekend, you've got your first home conference set, and it's against Memphis. And I'm just going to tell this to the listeners by way of information. This is in no way meant to be disparaging, but Memphis is rolling in. I think they've got two. They were swept this past weekend. They've got 2 games against Mississippi State midweek. They're 3-19 on the season, so they're not performing the way they want to. But from a coaching standpoint, CJ, it's one thing to play. To play Virginia Tech, and they're ranked 15th and 5 in RPI. But talking about that psychology part again, now you're bringing in a home opponent at home that, they've got a lot to prove, and you've got to make sure you stay locked in. So how do you go about just making sure the gals are locked in and ready to do their thing?
Yeah, I think preaching to them the importance of every weekend in conference matters, regardless of who you're playing. Whether it's South Florida, Wichita, Memphis, UTSA, every weekend matters. All the games matter. We learned that last year when we lost the game to Middle Tennessee in the series. We won the series 2-0, but we didn't play them 3 times, and we had to watch North Texas play Middle Tennessee at the end of the year to find out if we won the conference or not. And so just preaching the importance of every single game in conference to them is going to be the message, and never taking a pitch off. It's a good weekend for us to continue. This is, it's what we're doing right now. It's a good weekend to keep the bats rolling and keep the pitching staff in a good place. And every game is important to us, regardless of who we're playing. At the end of the day, we talk so much about RPI. If you don't win, doesn't matter. So, regardless of who it is or what their record is or what their RPI is, a win is a win, and they all count the same at the end of the year. So,
yeah, and it's really role reversal because this year on the show as well, but last few years we've been saying things like, "Hey, we beat Florida State. Hey, we beat Virginia Tech. Hey, we beat South Carolina." Now it's the other way. Because I guarantee you, if they can make something happen, Memphis is going to go away saying, "Hey, look, we beat Charlotte." And
yep, 100%.
That's the shoe on the other foot. You got to learn to deal with that too.
Yeah, it is for sure. It's a big role reversal. You turn from being the hunter to the hunted really quick when you play as well as we have over the last 2, 3, 4 years, and what Ashley and Jody have built and what I've been able to, be a part of, and Katie as well. And you have to flip the switch a little bit. You have to protect your turf and protect the Sioux, regardless of who it is. And just, trust that what we've been doing up until this point is the reason that we're here and the reason that we're so high in RPI and the reason we are 12-9. You just have to take every game like you're playing the same team. Doesn't matter who's on the other side.
Yeah, for sure. So those games are Friday at 6, Sunday at 1, and Sunday at 1. All that should be on ESPN Plus for you. And I'll be honest with you, folks. Looking at the forecast for this weekend, it might be a little iffy right now. Things can change, but like right now, Friday's a 50% chance. It's warm all weekend, 72, 74, 69. But chance to rain on Friday, a little less so on Saturday, but then chance to rain on Sunday again. So if you're wanting to get out to the Sioux, and I hope you are, probably pay attention to social media, where if any game times change, they'll update you. It could be one of those weekends where you just have to
adjust on the fly
and do a lot of waiting around.
Yep.
So hopefully not, but
hopefully not.
That's just part of the game. All right. Well, we are pretty much out of time, Coach CJ. You have survived your first visit to the Diamond Niner Gals podcast. I mean, I feel good about it. I mean, dare I say that I think you being in preference brought a lot to this.
I would agree. I'll consult with Katie about the performance after the fact, and she'll be able to watch some film on me. But yeah, no, this is awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on and asking all these questions. And it's a blast. It's a really cool opportunity, and I'm glad I could make it.
You crushed it, man. You crushed it. We appreciate your time. So that's it for us. We're all out of time. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you're checking us out on YouTube, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and turning on notifications so you'll get notified anytime we post new content. You can also subscribe if you're listening to this on Spotify, which is YouTube and Spotify are the two main ways to find this show. We hope you've enjoyed it. You can follow Diamond Niner Report on social media. We're primarily a Twitter platform. We also have Facebook and Instagram. We never had TikTok. So a TikTok ban's not even a big thing for us because we never had it and don't even really understand how it works. But reach out. We love talking to you folks. You can reach out to us on social media, send feedback. We love talking to you folks and interacting with you. Or if you're old fashioned like we are, just say hello out at the ballpark. We love that part of it too. So, all right. For producer Brad, for Coach CJ, this has been the Diamond Niner Gals podcast. On Wednesday night, we'll see you at the Sioux.